is Charles Byron, and I would like to tell you about the death penalty and why I am against it. Allen Lee Davis, John Wayne Casey, and Ted Bundy are a few of the many people who have been killed by the death penalty. They all deserve to be killed due to the crimes of being some of the worst serial killers in the past 5 decades. Today I'm going to tell you the issues there are with the death penalty and why it needs to be abolished. I've researched both sides of this controversy and need to abolish the death penalty is definitely the stronger argument. First, I'm going to talk a little bit about the expenses of the death penalty. Second, I'll tell you the risks that come along with it. Lastly, I'll tell you its ineffectiveness and then question about human rights. Let me begin with the issue with the death penalty. The death penalty is very expensive. Why, you might ask? According to Richard C. Dieter, the Executive Director of Death Penalty Information Center, almost all death penalty cases cannot afford their own lawyers. Therefore, the states has to provide them with the government-funded public defender. Expenses included within a death penalty are legal costs, pretrial costs, jury selection, hearing costs, incarceration, and appeals costs. For example, between 1982 and 1997, states spent a shocking $1.6 billion on capital crime case trials, according to Catherine Baker's article titled "Budgetary Repercussions of Capital Convictions." Therefore, all the murderers who can afford an attorney, it is possible to get away with the crimes. Case in point, look at O.J. Simpson and Casey Anthony. Both had great attorneys. They both got away with their crimes. So far, the poor and the minorities, they usually get the public defender and end up with the death penalty because they couldn't afford a great lawyer to defend them. Simply meaning that it's unfair. Now I've told you about the cost of this, and now I'm going to tell the risk with capital punishment. There's a risk with killing the innocent. There was a story in the news a few years back about a man named Troy Davis, who was put to death still trying to fight for his innocence. 7 of the 9 witnesses stated that they saw Davis kill a police officer in 1991. Recanted their original testimonies, the appeal to the Supreme Court was denied and Davis was put to death anyway. On September 21st, 2011, according to the Death Penalty Information Center, 138 people in 26 states have been executed from death row since 1973, with proof of innocence after the fact. This proves that before advances in technology such as DNA testing, the justice system was and still is very capable of making mistakes. There is no way to tell if over 1,000 people executed since 1973 were innocent, but there have been multiple cases where new evidence has emerged after the accused had already been executed. My next issue is ineffectiveness as a deterrent to murders. Supporters of the death penalty claim that it makes a person think twice before committing the crime. So let's think about this for a moment. They're crazy enough to take someone else's life. Do you really think that they will be thinking twice about having their own life taken away from them? Don't most murderers commit suicide after committing the crimes? So wouldn't the death penalty be an incentive to kill? Statistics show that current issues entitled capital punishment from the years 1993 through 2009, the death penalty have higher numbers than the states without the death penalty. Also, supporters of the death penalty claim that it gives justice to the families of the murderers' victims. But no matter what happens to the killer, it isn't going to bring the victim back to life. Their families will still have to live their lives with that loss forever. Whoever thinks about the killer's family and takes them into consideration. I mean, don't you think that they have feelings too? It doesn't change what the killer did, but since when do we treat people as if they are not human? Which brings me to my next question of our rights. Does the government really have the right to decide who lives and who dies? Wouldn't the death penalty take the Eighth Amendment into consideration, which reads, excessive bail shall not be required, nor excessive fines imposed, nor cruel and unusual punishment inflicted, with an extra emphasis on cruel and unusual punishment. There is a pattern of racial bias in sentencing that is clearly unconstitutional. Also, it sends the wrong message that we're going to kill someone for killing. Does it make sense that contradicts that idea? There's no one saying 2 wrongs don't make a right. In conclusion, due to the costliness of death penalty, second, I told you about the risks involved that come along with it, and lastly, I told you the ineffectiveness and the question of our human rights. So now it's time for you to vote. 36 states still have the death penalty today, including Texas. States without the death penalty have lower murder rates than states with the death penalty. Now that you heard evidence to abolish the death penalty. Thank you for